All right. Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for this special edition Lions Talk Live pregame show. A number of you guys asked for it this morning in the morning show, so we came out, got it all set. Kind of only going to do maybe 10, 15 minutes here, but get it on the air. Joining us once again is the Sarge, Tony Libretto, giving his expert wisdom and knowledge of all things football. And let me tell you, yes, he does have the biggest statue in front of his home, his high school, out in front of the football field in honor of his greatness. So, Sarge, with all that being said, what do you think of this matchup? What do you think about Tampa Bay coming into Ford Field?
They're coming in on a bit of a hot streak. They've won, I think, 5 of the last 6 games. Baker's looking good. I think we match up with them very well. I think, the first time we played them, we only ran for like 40 yards and 22 carries. I know you probably talked about that all week and all that, but we didn't have Gibbs then, and Montgomery played for like a quarter. So we were basically using Craig Reynolds, and I don't even remember the other guy at the time. We had 4th and 5th string running backs at the time. I think the key is going to be Gibbs and Montgomery controlling the run game, and I think it's a great matchup for us. Tampa Bay, they blitz a lot, but their secondary is, I hate to say as bad as ours, but basically they are. I know they got Winfield back there, but that's really about it. So I'm not too worried about it. I think it's going to be a high scoring game for both teams. But I think in the end, our offense is just going to be too much for them.
I like the way you're thinking. Yeah, I think there's, our offense comes out, takes care of the blitz like they have against a lot of teams. I think people forget how much of a blitz happy team Minnesota is, or was, I guess, now that their season's over. And, Lions never really seem to have much struggles with it. Even when we played the Bucs the first time this year, I thought overall they did a very good job with it, even as one-dimensional as the Lions basically had to be for 75% of the game with both running backs out. Really limited at the back position, putting the emphasis on Goff. I don't remember exactly how many passes Goff had for the game, but I want to say it was somewhere in the mid-40s. So
I know he threw for over 300 yards.
Right. He had one of his best games of the season.
Yeah.
So, Sarge, let's talk about how we're going to be able to stop the Bucs. Obviously, everybody is definitely aware now James Houston is not going to be a go today. He's going to be one of the inactives. Yeah. If you're Aaron Glenn, you've been basically a Blitzburg coach the last 6 or 7 games. Do you think that continues? Do you think the Lions do anything different for this game?
I don't know what he did in the last few weeks, but to ignite Aiden Hutchinson, I think move him around a lot. He's been putting him inside a lot more. Not a lot more than he is outside, but more than he has been all year.
Right.
I think that's going to be key, is just moving guys around, not showing which guys are coming and going, coming after the quarterback or dropping back or whatever. I think that's going to be a huge key. And, we've been giving up a ton of yardage to these wide receivers over the last few weeks. Jefferson twice, Nakua last week, CeeDee Lamb. But really, we won all those games. I'm giving us the win in Dallas. But so this kind of been our thing all year, is giving up all these yards to their like superstar receiver. But by doing that, no one else on the team really seems to do anything.
Right.
Rachaad White at running back is going to be, he had a pretty good year, but our run defense is our strength. So if we make them one-dimensional, make Baker throw, Baker's going to make a mistake.
Right. And I agree with your assessment that basically I think Aaron Glenn just reached a point in the season, and I guess it would have started with the Denver game where he just said, we can't just allow teams to keep dinking and dunking against us. We just don't have the secondary or the pass rush to get there. So what I think he's done is more or less said, we're going to blitz the 5-6 guys going after the quarterback. We're going to stop the run on the way to the quarterback and really limit what you can do against us. Now, as we're all aware, yes, some teams, have really roasted us with their primary elite receivers. Tampa Bay does have some guys. I would just say they're picking their poison out there. They're saying, hey, we can't stop everything. We don't have that kind of D. We're going to force you into hopefully some mistakes through the pass rush. So we'll see what happens out there. But or were you surprised at all that they kept Houston inactive for today?
A little. So, all week long, Dan Campbell kind of alluded that he didn't think he was ready, but I also thought he was just doing that to throw off, to
Right.
make the Bucs think he wasn't going to play, and then he came out and he's not playing. So I am surprised. I mean, he's had 3 weeks to come, since he came back to practice. I thought that would be enough, especially when I don't imagine him playing more than 10 snaps anyway. Maybe just on certain, obvious passing downs. I wouldn't think he'd play more than 10 or maybe 15 snaps. So if he can't even play 10 snaps in a game, then I'm kind of curious why they even activated him off the IR, and they could have just, kept
Fair
that spot
question.
for somebody else. So it was disappointing to not see him. I mean, yeah, we can always say, well, maybe we can have him for next week, but right now is the only important game that matters. So, and I know they had to activate him, or else, they wouldn't have him at all. But
Right. Yeah, to
yeah,
pick a
it
choice.
makes me wonder why they activated him.
Yeah. So moving on from that, really, other than Houston, I guess, still working his way back, and Khalif Raymond just still being, or I guess you say, nursing his knee injury that he had in
Mm-hmm.
the regular season finale. The Lions are pretty healthy. And I think we're
Yeah,
all talked about or been inundated with news media telling us all week long how many guys Detroit did have out when they played at Tampa early in the year.
so many.
I mean, a ton of guys, yeah,
Yeah.
and it just a gluttony. How realistically do you think this is going to be a close game? Do you think it's going to be a blowout? Do you think what is your overall sense for things?
I think Detroit's going to try to control the ball early. Eliminate the offense for the Bucs, making those big splash plays with Evans and Godwin. So I think it'll be close early, but I think after a while, the offense for us is just going to just keep scoring. I don't think we're going to get stopped very often. So I think it might seem close at the beginning when we're doing ball control, but it's going to get. I think we're going to get out of hand in the second half and score a lot of points.
Yeah, and I know we've got a couple people like France here watching overseas and stuff. I got to imagine the more I've talked to people, even today, I know I said it in the morning show, I was going to go out and do a couple showings on houses just to fill in some of the time between the morning show and the game. And there was one particular couple I showed the house to, younger couple, and you could tell they were not Lions fans just because they mentioned some things. I brought up going home to watch the game, and they were like, yeah, who are they playing? And yada, whatever. But they brought up how much they were aware everybody was into this game, and they're not even in the NFL. And then another couple I showed a house to, they didn't know anything about football, but they said all their co-workers were talking about it. Some guy with a tattoo on his arm flexing around yesterday at work saying, Detroit growl, and they were just so it just seems like if you're a Lions fan, this is the kumbaya moment we've all been waiting for some of us decades. Others maybe just a few years or whatever. But how big of a fever pitch do you think Lions fandom across the nation will be today? And when they win, what do you think it's going to be like next week?
I mean, I think it's great that we've kind of become, America's team per se, not to take everything away from the Cowboys because I hate them, but,
Right.
Everyone seems to embrace the Lions. Even, the Good Morning Football guy, Kyle Brandt, a couple hours ago on NFL Network was saying that, he said that he's heard from Lions fans that after last week was like, they're so happy that they won. And he's like, stop saying that's your crest. He's like, you got 3 weeks to go. He's like, stop talking about next year. He's like, you got 3 weeks, not a year from now. And I like that because I think this team can go all the way and get to the Super Bowl this year. And with all the people in the stands, they're going to, I think they're, last week, I think they broke a record or whatever, 130 decibels. Do that again, be the people that you want, that you've tried to be all year long. I was at a lot of home games and we were really loud. Keep that momentum because it does spark something in the players. I know it does because they've said it, in their interviews all week long. So keep it up. And next week, there's going to be a lot of fans in San Francisco, a lot of Lions fans in San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to look for positives with the Lions not hosting next week. Could be ticket prices might actually be significantly cheaper if you go out to San Francisco to watch
Might
the
be
game
cheaper
versus Detroit.
it might be cheaper to buy a plane ticket and a ticket to the game in San Francisco than it is to buy one here, apparently.
Right. And, I get, we've already talked about it. Everybody's aware of it. The Lions Nation has been traveling all season. They've been buying up every ticket they can get for these home field playoff games at Ford Field, just because when's the next time this can happen? And I do agree with what you were saying about the NFL Network commentators saying, man, embrace this moment. Don't worry about next year. Don't worry about 3 years down the road, because you just never know when this opportunity will present itself again. Especially, I mean, Sarge, we're basically the same age. We know it's been 30 plus years since we've seen a home game, let alone a playoff win. And I think we're all just going to have to take a moment of pause and say, go for it all right now, see what you can get done, get this game, and then who knows what happens next week. We talked about the Green Bay game during it last night.
Yeah.
I think we both basically had the same sense by the end of the game. Lions could match up pretty well with the 49ers to win, but still they got to get through this game first. If you had three things to pick in your view, what are the three areas you're going to focus on the most today if you're MCDC?
It all starts with Goff. Goff, he's our ride or die guy, really. I mean, if he has a good game, we win. If he doesn't, we lose. So it starts with Goff, and that means ball control a lot too. That doesn't mean him, necessarily throwing bombs all day, but he's got to be able to control the game, whether it's running the ball or passing it. He's got to play a smart game, and I'm sure they've been, working with him all week, and he's looked great in the last few weeks. It really has. So it all starts with him, and it starts with our number two would be the trenches, our offensive line, and our defensive line. Those guys are the ones that have to make the difference in the game. As long as our defensive line can get to the quarterback and stop the run, I think Baker's going to make some pass mistakes downfield. Our offensive line has to be a greater. They got Vita Vea,
right.
and he's a monster. And that Kalijah Cansey rookie, he's having a great year. So our offensive line has got to control them. A lot of people all week have been saying that our offensive line should be better than the Eagles line was last week, which kind of surprises me because, the Eagles were always thought of as the best offensive line. But anyway, so control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Number three, I think we have to have a breakout. I don't know, breakout's the right word, but look for Jameson Williams to, he's got to step up. Look for them to maybe take a couple of deep shots. I know one play last week they were going to take a deep shot to him, but Goff got rushed out of the pocket, so he couldn't get it to him. But look for him to step up today and make some good splash plays.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think we've been talking about it. I think you've got to throw the running game open today. Buccaneers aren't going to be any different than anybody else we've seen in the last month or so. Everybody's going to put 5, 6, 8 guys or more at the line of scrimmage and try to really limit the offense, sort of like we're doing with the massive blitzes that we've done in the last month and a half. You've got to try to force teams, especially offenses, to be one-dimensional. If you made it to this point in the season, we can all say, hey, we beat the Bucs early in the year, but that doesn't mean squat today. It's 0-0 record. There's 6 teams left. 1 or 2 tips of the ball go against you. The outcome of the game will be in question. But I do believe the Bucs are going to come up and try to A, take away the run, and B, get to Goff. So yes, I think the offensive line, certainly you're saying, and Goff, you're going to have to be able to throw them out of those coverages and try to open up the field so you can run the ball more. All right, guys, we won't keep you all day. We're promising, 10, 15-minute video. Sarge, let's ask you real quick, though. Yeah. Do you have a score prediction? Because that's really what everybody wants.
Lions obviously winning this. I'm going with 38-24.
38-24. All right. I don't have the towel of truth or the towel of destiny, whatever it was. But I will say it right now. I'm going to pick a little bit lower scoring game. I'm going to go with 28-17 Detroit. I think the defense is going to be huge today. I also think the Tampa Bay defense is going to step up a little bit here. Guys, I'll have the post-game show on as soon as the game concludes, so be looking for that. Try to talk to Sarge into it too if he's around, if you want to hop on for a few. But I think we're all going to be sitting around watching and thinking the Lions have a chance to be in the Final Four.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, go get your Kool-Aid or whatever ready, or Mountain Dew. Kick back, relax. We are 17 minutes to kick off. Enjoy your day. We'll see you on the post-game version of Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.